Well, howdy, and welcome back to the Mark Driscoll Show. I'm Pastor Landon Chase, and you do not want to miss today's show. Pastor Mark's kicking things off with the great ministry of Mike Cosper, a powerful monologue on Candace Owens, the CNN debacle on how Christians can spot deception in culture built on lies. We're also joined by a special guest, Pastor John Lovell. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Former Army Ranger and founder of the Warrior Poet Society, and recently a pastor, which is awesome.
Planted Grace City Church in Rome, Georgia.
Let's go, man.
So for both of you that live in Rome, Georgia, please go to his church. It's a small town.
Dozens of people there. Come on. Give at least 6 times that.
We'll be tackling everything from Christians fighting over food stamps to Trump's 50-year mortgage plan, how the unchecked immigration is ruining the soul of America, its truth, courage, and the Word of God, all in one show. So let's dive in. Before we jump in, Pastor Mark wants to share something really exciting. We had a great company that wanted to jump in and sponsor us in some way, and we don't really do sponsorships, but we found a way that they could come in and help support the ministry. Pastor Mark will tell you about it more.
Well, we're trying something new. We have not historically had sponsors for any of the content that we put out through Real Faith. And the Bible teaching is still free, but we do have a sponsor for the Mark Driscoll Show. We want to do the best we can. And so happy to share this new sponsor with you. You see, now more than ever, people are waking up to the fact that the system is rigged, and people are taking action to help protect everything they've worked for. That's why I'm excited to team up with Goldco. They've helped thousands of Christians and patriots like you and me protect their savings with gold and silver. They've also helped me personally, and I truly believe they can help you. Right now, you can go to goldco.com/realfaith. That's goldco.com/realfaith and get a free copy of Goldco's 2025 Gold and Silver Kit. This is a great resource of information on how to get started. Plus, you'll also learn about their 10% bonus silver or gold offer. It's truly the best offer out there. So go to goldco.com/realfaith. That's goldco.com/realfaith.
All right, gents, we have a fun one for you. A bit of shock and awe on this one. Let me just read it for you. How does ChatGPT's new erotica content offer opportunities to share the gospel? 2 great theologians discuss with a philosopher, Brandon Rickabaugh. So let me ask my 2 favorite pastors. So is there an opportunity to share the gospel in the AI porn industry?
Who even came up with this? I mean, you know, when you have these meetings, some guy around the table's like, I know a guy who's been watching ChatGPT Erotica, and he thinks there's a way to use this for Jesus.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I wonder who that might be.
I think you would catch an STD looking at any of their search histories at Pat Safe. Anyone involved with this, don't even open their computer. Hold it at a distance, hit it with a flamethrower. You don't open that thing up. But I do think there is great gospel opportunity attached to this. I would love to share the gospel with the staff of Christianity Today. I'd love to share the gospel with Mike Cosper. Anyone attached to this project, anyone that thought this was okay, I would love them to meet Jesus, because they definitely do not know Jesus. This is perverted. This is gross. I don't even know what to think about this. I don't know what to say. This is awful.
We have a photo of a guy with the goggles, but we can't see his hands.
And we don't want to. This is not a request, Pat. This is not a request.
This is like this would be great at the Babylon Bee. And you know, this is the equivalent of saying, how does a strip club provide a gospel opportunity? Answer: it doesn't.
The exit sign is as close as you get.
The great thing I'm being told is that it has gotten 13 likes by the 250,000 people that have seen this article so far.
Yeah, that's one of their wives clicking 13 times. That's what that is. I mean, but there's nothing else to talk about.
That's the worst ratio probably in internet history.
Probably.
Nearly 300,000 views and 13 likes.
Yeah. The pervs aren't clicking.
Look.
They're like,
Yeah.
my wife's gonna know.
And it's all Christianity Today staff. There was 13 people that
They're required to.
Yeah.
We occasionally do that to our staff, but you have to like this.
Christianity Today.
You know,
Christianity.
Christianity, we'll just move on.
Yes,
Our thoughts and prayers are with you.
they are.
Yeah.
They are.
Yes.
And then another great saint, we would love to roll her clip. Candace Owens, most recent, really fun debacle with an interview she was.
I just keep hearing Ozzy Osbourne's Crazy Train in my mind. I feel like everybody's riding that train today.
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Sure.
When you say you believe that Charlie Kirk was betrayed by someone close to him, what do you mean?
I think that in the coming weeks, there's going to be a lot of financial reports that are coming out. And I, first and foremost, do not believe that Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk. I want to be very clear on that. Whether he was involved, I think the answer is yes. I think that's obvious.
And your basis for saying he didn't act alone is what?
I don't know, maybe the weird Fed messages that were concocted out of thin air that had no timestamp and were written like they were speaking in 1822, among other things. Their lack of an ability to answer any basic questions about what took place.
Do you have any proof that the messages were made up? Because that would be easily proven.
Yeah, but they didn't put timestamps on them, and Discord came out and said they didn't exist.
This was supposedly text messages, not Discord messages. It's my understanding from the indictment.
I actually did not read that they were text messages.
The indictment calls them text messages.
What would it be like the feds are like on a computer, like, yeah, I bring it out back in Federal Reserve?
Exactly what it is. The feds made up the text messages.
But you don't have anyone from like the FBI telling you that, or law enforcement? Okay.
No.
Has anyone leaked to you?
And Tyler Robinson.
What has anyone said to you, even off the record, like, yeah, we faked these?
I have very strong sources everywhere on both sides.
Well, I look forward to seeing evidence of that.
Sure. Because when we keep talking about evidence, it's like, who's going to...
So what's the point? Why does she just keep going with what feels like no evidence?
So she's lost touch with reality. And, honestly, from a pastoral perspective, I feel sorry for her. I pray for her. If she has a husband who is present or she's got a pastor who cares, she needs to get an evaluation. And honestly, she needs to take a break because she's become obsessed with Charlie Kirk in a way that is really unhealthy for a married woman. And also, she's tried to make herself the de facto defender and spokesperson for the legacy of Charlie Kirk. And that is the sole discretion of his wife, Erica, who did an incredible job on her interview this week. And she's a really remarkable, incredible, grieving widow. But this is the problem with the internet is the crazier you are, the more attention you get, but the less helpful you are. And so in ministry as a pastor, our goal is always, we're all pastors, like, how do we be the most helpful? And on the internet, it's how do I get the most attention? Well, those are two wildly different things. And things like this, they get a lot of attention, but they don't provide any help whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Does it push you to an extreme, that carrot of attention that always does that? Because, for years, Candace has put out content. I haven't ever watched tons of her content, but just the drip over the years, it's been good stuff overall. Okay, so this is a newer Candace that's just wild conspiratorial conjecture without any hard evidence, correct? Some things happened recently, right?
Yeah, as a pastor, if this was somebody, let me just ask you this. If this person was attending your church as a pastor, what would your encouragement be to this married couple?
Yeah, immediately unplug from all this stuff. Let's take a retreat. Let's unplug. Yeah, it'd be that. It'd be that. This is overtaken. Yeah.
Yeah, and it becomes conspiratorial in a way that really you're living a fear-based paranoid life.
Yeah.
When you reach the point where you're like, the guy who killed Charlie didn't kill Charlie, and I have sources from the feds. And I think she says, I counted 3 times in that short clip. you're at a point where you've sort of lost touch with reality.
Right.
And when people live online and they live in conspiracy theories and they live in chats and comments, eventually those people start to develop mental health problems, and there's a break from reality. And what we're seeing here, I mean, I hope we're not seeing this, but I think what we're seeing is literally the implosion of a human being online.
Yeah.
This is like watching a car wreck in slow motion.
Well, I don't like this. I do sympathize with, I don't have trust for a lot of our institutions of power and
media.
So she's scratching an itch that I share as well, but this looks crazy.
But when Erica Kirk says, you know, she said in the interview that she did with Jesse Waters that she's confident that Tyler Robinson was the killer of her husband.
Yeah.
Well, let's let her be the authority on that. She said, I've seen all the evidence and, you know, 1 minute misquote, but like if someone is killed, the person who has the authority on that assassination is the wife.
And how confident would you have to be to turn your son in that he was the assassin? Tyler Robinson's dad turned him in, probably for a death penalty.
Well, and is a Mormon youth pastor, who I think also was somehow connected to law enforcement. And so
a dad's not going to live into a government conspiracy and turn his son in.
And his dad's a cop, right?
He was,
Was, okay.
And this is it too, like let it play out in the courts, let the evidence be presented, let things run their course. But this is the doubling down. And this is where at the end of the day, let me ask you this, Pastor John. What would be better use of your time as a human being than following this in great detail?
Man, insert almost anything. I mean, we're embroiled in a terrible culture war of we're losing trust in all of our institutions of power. Families are being utterly destroyed. Of like you could throw a dart blindfolded and hit something that would be more edifying than this. I don't see any benefit to this. And now, if there was truth to it, present your hard evidence in total. Present it, not I have my leaks, I have my sources, and trust me, and here's my, like, I think, give us hard evidence right here. Back it up. If you have it, deliver it, and if you don't, shut up. So
you alluded to a minute ago, you live in a world, I mean, you're in the gun world, and you are far right conservative. You're not crazy far right, but I'm sure you have a lot of dealings with a lot of very far right people that are looking for the conspiracies. How does a Christian father discern that for their family in this time? What to believe, what not to believe? Where do you get your source of truth? How are you leading through that?
It's good. In terms of where I am on spectrum of left, right, or far, I really love America. I'm a constitutionalist. I'm a patriot. I love Bible. I love family. And a lot of people, they want to label you by saying you're far right. You're a crazy over here. I'm like, I love family. I believe in our Constitution, Declaration of Independence. That's it. Nothing insane. Nothing that's going to get huge clicks on Instagram. I love Bible, and that's my standard of truth right there. And so I would like people to stop being crazy all the time, practice a little bit of discernment. Let's suspend judgment before we tribalistically all jump on bandwagons, which is what's happening. It's a thing happens. Immediately choose your side. Whose side are you on? Go all in. And now
double down in spite of the evidence.
That's right. And now it's confirmation bias. No matter what you see, you're going to see it through the lens of what you've already pre-established in your snap judgment that happened the moment the headline broke. Nobody's reading deeply. No one's saying, well, let's see where the investigation goes. And so that is a real big problem, because that means we're tribalistically ready to grab pitchforks and torches, pick at anybody that happens to land a little bit outside of our tribe. And it just continues to snowball until it breaks all alliance, all trust, all fellowship. And it's a race to the bottom. It's just going to be the utter destruction of everything while you get huge views.
Yeah. Well, and in that too, if you are a Christian or claim to be a Christian, you've got to think about things like Jesus says that Satan is the father of lies. It's like, am I intentionally frequently lying? Then that would be bad. Jesus says that we'll be judged for every word we speak. If you claim Christ, you've at least got to begin, we talked about this a little bit yesterday, with some fear of the Lord, that it doesn't matter what the clicks are and it doesn't matter what the platform, rewards. It matters if I'm claiming Christ, that I'm trying to conduct myself in a way that is truthful, knowing that I'm going to stand before him and give an account for all of the content that I'm disseminating.
Right.
And so to me, there's just a practical point where, yeah, we don't trust those who are traditional legacy media, rightly and understandably so. But if someone claims to be a Christian, they should at least be making an attempt to act or live functionally as a Christian.
No, that's good.
And just wild speculation and untruths and lies, there's nothing in the Bible that supports that. There's nothing in the Christian life that would promote that.
If she's got hard evidence, I'd like to see it. And I'm open to reason. Show it to me, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
And if not, this is not helpful. This is destroying. This is harmful.
It feels like an attack really on the right because there's becoming so many divisions in the right.
Yeah.
And you said that when you're losing, everyone's unified, but when you're winning, all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's factions of the right. And
it's tribalism. It's tribal chiefs and tribes. And it's like, there's Tucker Carlson, there's Candace Owens, there's, Steve Deace is a friend of mine and I appreciate him. There's Glenn Beck. There's different people who have different tribes. And some are far better at telling the truth and being consistent and living within their Christian convictions, and others are wildly out of bounds.
Where do you see us being in a few years with where the right? I mean, Charlie was really a unifier here. We've lost Charlie. Put a few years on the clock until the next election. Where will the right be?
Well, right now it seems to be reading The Lord of the Flies and thinking that's a good playbook. And so what you've got is tribes that are now fighting over market share, meaning they've lost sight of the nation and the good of the whole. And again, like we talked about offline, Lennon, like when you're the minority, you hold together. So like right now with the election in New York, like everybody who was not a Republican hung together. As soon as you're in power, it's really hard to maintain humility and unity.
Yeah.
And this is just the default of human nature, is just to steal, kill, and destroy. I mean, that's just the default of the flesh. And so what I'm seeing right now, even among younger, people on the right, my concern is always this: are you a conservative who says you're a Christian, or are you a Christian who has your convictions push you toward conservatism? And there's a big difference, because if it's Christ and then your political convictions, conservatism, then you have a fear of God. You're under authority. You're submitting to scriptures. You're submitting to right spiritual authority, which is going to keep you from being really dangerous.
Yeah.
If you are a conservative and just name Christ, but there's really no authority over you, no fear of God, no respect of scripture, no participation in a local church community, no honoring of any spiritual authority, I think you're very, very, very dangerous.
Right.
And I think that's where you're starting to see those who are very, very conservative claiming Christ. You wonder if they actually know Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Here's something. When I see somebody who's a conservative, should be home team, and they claim Christ, and they have the agenda of Christ, so to speak, but they don't really have the fruits of the Spirit. And so one thing that irritates me about Candace Owens is she is converted to Christianity, she claims, but every time I see her, if you just pause the screen at any moment, she has this look of just disgust, this contempt. And I'm like, there's not a huge talking point there. I'm just saying of like, I would like us to grow to have the love, gentleness, kindness, goodness. I would like the Spirit of Christ as well to couple with our agenda. And when I don't see the fruits of the Spirit with somebody who is espousing the agenda of Christ, I grow a little concerned. I'm like, where are you going to be? Because what I like to, I've got a bunch of different people that I'll listen to. And I don't need to agree completely with everyone I listen to. A lot of people today were so tribalistic in mentality of like, oh, I like Mark Driscoll until you said that one thing, and now you're dead to me. I'm canceling you. I'm never listening to you. I'm going to take to the internet. And if you find one thing someone doesn't like,
that's just a hypothetical.
it's just a hype. And it's never happened.
You told me right before the show, you agree with everything you've ever said.
I don't agree. I had somebody come to me recently and they said, I don't agree with everything you've ever said. It's like, I don't agree with everything I've ever said.
We sent mugs to his house because he's like, I don't agree with most things I've said, or a lot of what I've said, or something.
It's like, how can we possibly have any rapport, any unity if the litmus test is I need to agree with everything you say, and if not, I'm going to unsubscribe, trash you, of like,
If that's your MO, you cannot be married.
yeah, that's right. That's right. But what I'm seeing now is I'm pretty good, I think, at listening to a whole bunch of voices and a lot of different opinions. And I can like, oh, I like that. I don't like that. And it's a bit of a buffet, but I don't get viscerally upset.
That's discernment.
Right. But now a lot of our influencers I'm seeing is they're going to these extremes where I'm like, I can't follow you there, man. I got to unfollow. And I'm not the unfollow guy.
What would be an extreme?
I'm pretty I love Tucker Carlson historically, but of like Nick Fuentes stuff and celebrating Stalin and but that's where I don't like that Tucker gave him that right hand of fellowship. And man, I'm up to even right this moment, I still am a member of his network. And I'm like, do I turn that off? Of like, I really don't like, where is Tucker going?
Yeah.
I don't need all of his opinions. I don't have to approve all of his guests. He does his thing. It's a bit of a buffet, but if he's going to exalt someone like that, I've got a problem.
So I have a problem with evil.
Yeah.
And a profoundly racist human being that has done nothing is evil.
Yeah.
And as a Christian, you have to call evil evil if you want to maintain any dignity and you want to have any respectability.
Yeah.
And so, to me, like racism at that level is evil. And I'm talking, just the overt statements of Nick Fuentes. I mean, it's racist. It's evil. It's ungodly.
Right.
It's wrong. It's dangerous. And it is not to be, softly handled and promoted.
Yeah.
Not if you claim Christ. And again, if you don't know Christ, I don't expect as much from you. But for those who claim Christ, the expectation has to be higher.
Yeah.
So both of you have sons that you've launched your sons. You are raising sons. It feels like the world of nuance is starting to go out the window. It's like you said, you're taking from this, that, but it's harder with how extreme people are getting. What would be the advice both of you would give to your one piece of advice on discerning this culture and who to listen to?
Oh, people won't like mine. You want to go first?
Yeah. So, Paul says, just seek to live a quiet life and stay busy with your hands. Yeah. And, there so much of what is information is distraction. Like, find your girl, marry her. Find your house, purchase it. Have your kids, raise them. Join your church, serve there. Keep yourself busy with your first responsibilities. A lot of what we get worked about, we have no jurisdiction over.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of things you can get upset about. Like, is there anything you can do about it? No, then take that energy and put it toward the people and things that God gives you responsibility for. And I would say, especially for young men who get into the political sphere and older men who get into the political sphere, it's like, turn your phone off, pick up your Bible, go play with your kids, go play with your grandkids, go make somebody else's life better. Do some things, not just react to some things.
Yeah, I love it. All right, John.
I'm introducing my kids to the world.
Yes.
I'm letting them know I'm not hiding them under a rock. I'm the one introducing them to all this stuff. And so the stuff that's happening, even a lot of the grotesque stuff, all the rainbow flag agenda, I'm letting my 11 and 13-year-old know what's out there, how we respond to that, how we filter through it. But the thing I'm not doing is giving them phones with high-speed internet access so that they can tackle all the world's issues and all the world's perversions. Like, they could log on anywhere. They could log into Christianity Today and have unbridled access. Do you know how perverted it's becoming? Cue the opening shot that we had for this show today. Of like, there's all kinds of really grotesque stuff out there, and kids are not meant to process the horrors of the world. The moment you hand a child a cell phone, their childhood is over. The moment you hand a kid a phone, their childhood is over. And you get to decide when that is. You want to do it at 9? You want to do it at 12? You get to decide. And so My 11 and 13-year-old, we have a happy home and a refuge. We sing worship songs as a family, and we
play guitar.
I'm
I'm
guitar.
outing
You
you.
hypothetically try to play guitar.
I put that. This is discerning and fair, but
Yes.
about a year ago, I started. Well, I suck at singing. I do want to lead my family in worship. What can I do? I could do guitar. I'm like, I can't do a guitar. I'm like, I will learn guitar for my family. And so we have a great time, and we do that, and we read books, and we have lots of fires, and we go for walks, and we go for rides, and we have a blast of game nights and making food and all kinds of fun stuff. And it's good, happy stuff. I engage in the war of ideas out there as a man. And then I come home to my refuge where my kids are able to be safe, and I educate them about it, because one day they're going to need to be strong enough to contend in the battlefield of ideas. And that's not now, that's later. So you spend all this time to make them strong, prepare them, and don't let them get taken out by all these pernicious ideologies that will crush your kids before they even get in the fight. You wouldn't send a dude off the street straight to war. You'd send him to basic training and AIT and wherever else you wanted to go to get him trained up, so that you don't immediately throw them into combat and they die because they have no training. Similarly, our kids are growing up, and before they're men, I want them trained and strengthened so that they can interact in a dangerous world.
So good. So good. Thank you.
And you mean mine, not Pastor Mark's?
Pastor Mark's was great.
His was okay,
You're
but mine was
intense.
I get intense. It's like people
We're
camping.
waking up. We're drinking our coffee.
Yeah, I mean, I had all the grandkids last night, so I still have the grandkid hangover. They run you hard for about 5 hours.
Sure.
Yeah.
You're a great granddad. It's so fun to see you interact with grandkids. It'd be shocking for a lot of your critics to see you down on the floor playing with grandkids, and it's super fun.
My best
super
friends are
fun.
toddlers.
It's so great. It's so great. Y'all understand each other.
We do. We like the same shit.
Hey, Indy is an intellectual.
So good. It's good. It's good.
All right. Fun thing happened the last month. The government shut down. Crazy. The world kept going.
We heard about it. I didn't see it.
We didn't experience it in any way.
No, I guess if you were traveling, trying to get on an airplane, then you noticed it. Otherwise,
Yeah. Yeah, or you're one of the 1 in 8 people that are on SNAP benefits, and that's what we want to talk about.
okay.
So the government is providing food benefits to 1 in 8 people.
Wow.
12%. That's in places like New Mexico, it's 21% of the population.
Wow.
And Christians are divided on this issue because should we be helping the poor feed them? If somebody doesn't work, should they not eat? So it's a nuance. I don't know if it's nuanced. Should the government be the one stepping in and providing? And I feel like that's probably where the discussion really lies.
So the SNAP benefits, and I pulled up the Pew data today, so I'd appear prepared. But it started during World War II, when so many supplies were being sent overseas for the war effort that things were tough at the homeland. Then once the war was over, it was originally, welfare, food stamps, different terms. But then it was reinstituted during Lyndon B. Johnson and the great increase in government. And so, in the history of our nation, this is actually fairly new. But for some people, they think it's been around forever because they're multi-generational dependent.
Right.
And I pulled it up too. It's interesting. So the majority of people that are receiving the benefits, their ages 25 to 44 and 45 to 64. Those are the 2 largest categories. So it's not just senior citizens and elderly people. In addition, this is a wild one. If it's a single mother, you're looking at 46% are 46% of the recipients are single mothers. Only 5% are single fathers.
Mm.
So statistically, if you have a dad, you don't, more fathers, less government.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a dad, we don't need this program. If you don't have a godly, a functional male present, then the government steps in to fill the gap. But then it creates multiple generations of dependency. So if all of a sudden dad is not needed, then men just get women pregnant, or they exit their marriage, they abandon their children, and then the government has to come in and fill the gap. But now you've got multiple generations that are being raised with no strong male presence and no father figure and no provider, which just creates generations of the problem. And so while it may seem nice, there is there is this sentimentality of like, well, we provide something, we're meeting a need. Yes, but are we extending the problem by meeting the need? There's an interesting book called When Helping Hurts.
Yeah.
And it talks about development in foreign countries where missionaries would go in and they'd meet all the needs, but then the people didn't have any entrepreneurialism. They didn't have any self-motivation. They didn't take on any self-responsibility. And so the wild thing is, too, just for data, and then we can get into the theological of it, is in fiscal year 2022, it's larger now, but this is the latest data from the Pew Research, the government spent $119 billion on SNAP. And SNAP is one of the largest federal social welfare programs. It is right there with Medicaid. And here's what's wild. It's similar in amount to veterans benefits.
Wow.
So SNAP and veterans benefits are corollary in the national budget. And so from a Bible standpoint, the Bible says nothing about the government feeding people. It doesn't. Historically, most governments, like the government in Egypt that was against Moses, they're starving people. Herod tried to kill the children, not feed the children. Daniel is taken captive by the Babylonians. Historically, the government is an enemy of God and has no obligation to do godly things because it's so ungodly. And the problem with most Christians, they read the Bible and they think that all the commands are for the government. It's not for the government. Historically, the way that needs are met is, first and foremost, there's a lot of pressure put on men to feed their families. The Bible says if a man does not provide for the needs of his family, he's denied the faith and he's worse than an unbeliever. So the first responsibility, there needs to be a culture, if you're going to be biblical, there has to be a cultural pressure put on men to be protectors and providers of women and children.
That's good.
The Bible also says that if you don't work, you don't eat. And so, unless you have some sort of medical condition or, you're incapable of contributing, you shouldn't be a dependent. You should be a contributor in some way. Furthermore, if we're going to give people benefits, we also have an incredible number of remote government jobs. And my question is, if you're going to get benefits, and for the average person, it's just under $200. For a household, it's over $300 a month. Can we make you a fractional employee with some sort of remote work so that in addition to getting the benefits, you're also contributing into the welfare of others? Because we have so many remote jobs. Is there not some way of giving you the dignity as a human being of contributing and earning?
Yeah. That's good. What I like about SNAP is for the outlier, for the one who's really in dire straits, in an emergency, to be able to keep that gal and her little kids alive until we figure out a better way of self-sustainability. Because what I don't like about SNAP is it can, on the one hand, wield, this is just to help. We're just redistributing. We're helping. It makes effectively a welfare nation. It can create a cycle of poverty that just rolls from one generation to the next, which is exactly what it's doing. And it can enslave people. And furthermore, especially an able-bodied young man who could go out and work but realizes I could make more filing for SNAP. I'll get fed and I can just play video games and do nothing, because that's happening in massive droves. And as soon as a man accepts a handout, there's some piece of his dignity that is lost. And the more he accepts handout after handout, the more unrecoverable that is. And you've effectually made him a slave to a government and to a handout, when really a better solution would be the solution that has been there for millennia. And that's the church provides for immediate needs, but it's not just the handout of food. It's coupled with the freedom mentality that's coupled with work, coupled with value, it's coupled with support and counsel. So it's not just a handout in perpetuity forever that creates a cycle of enslavement, victimhood mentality, but instead the church will do a far, far better job, as it always has, in feeding people. And then it's the free giving. It's a charitable giving rather than the government seizing tax dollars and redistributing them, which is not charity. That's taking from other folks. So,
so part of it is, there is a responsibility on the church, but Paul says in Galatians to do good, but first to the household of faith.
Right.
And so it's Christians looking after brothers and sisters in Christ, and it's also family members and extended family. And so, to me, if there is going to be government, it needs to be last resort, not first resort. And the question is, do you have any extended family? Well, are you willing to work? Do you have any immediate or extended family? Are you part of a faith community? Because I'll get criticized a lot because I don't talk a lot about, these meeting of social needs. But for me, personally, as a pastor, every Tuesday night and Wednesday night, I've got men's Bible study. I've got over 900 men coming, and I'm teaching them to only sleep with a woman who's their wife and to bring children into the world. And it's their responsibility to provide for and protect those children. If those 900 men all do what I am telling them to do, that's 900 wives and maybe 3,000 kids that are all going to get fed. I can put a box of food together and I can go feed somebody, which is good, or I can teach 900 men to feed their families, their kids and grandkids. And then if those men teach their sons to do that, and those men teach their grandsons to do that, well, now we fed 100,000 children.
That's right.
With a men's ministry, but nobody thinks that is, being charitable or gracious or generous. It's it is.
Yeah.
It's actually fixing the problem, not just meeting it.
That's right. That's good.
So you both talked about outliers that would need help. Who would those be for
somebody disabled? Somebody's got chronic medical illness. For heaven's sake, a veteran that comes back from combat with some horrible medical condition that has taken away their ability to do what they're used to doing.
Widows and orphans. Widows and
orphans. Yeah, children. I'm pro-life, pro-kid. I mean, children. But when we're talking about multiple generations that have been on the system, then the system isn't serving them; it's enabling them.
Yep, 100%. Thank you, Pastor Mark. I totally agree. I think it's great that the government shut down. It unearths an issue that I think we should talk about. The church should talk about. The role of the church should be talked about. Pastors should step up and lead their people, lead their men, call them to something greater. And there's something awesome about providing for a wife and a child. And you always say men drive straighter under a load of responsibility. And taking a government handout, playing video games, using it as a bit of a cop-out is very unhelpful. Another government story, shocking.
I'll interview you on this one, if that's okay.
All right.
So this week, they floated the idea of going to a 50-year mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
Most Americans are probably on an adjustable rate mortgage or a 30-year mortgage, would be my guess. And so this would open the opportunity for new people to enter into the housing market, but especially younger generations. Your background is business, you like finance and investment, and you're a real estate agent, and you're a young home buyer. So 50-year mortgages, good idea, bad idea? What would your recommendation be?
Great idea. I love 50-year mortgages.
Oh, you said that so quick.
I know you're going to attack me.
Well, not attacking. I'm just irritated with a 50-year mortgage. I think I'm with you, but I'm irritated.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
I love it. So historically, FDR, Trump referenced FDR. FDR added the 20-year mortgage, and home ownership went from 40% of people to 65% of people.
What was it before that? Before the 20-year, what was called?
40% of people owned a home. Okay. And then after he did the 20-year mortgage, that jumped 25% to 65% of Americans owned a home. I'm a big believer in Americans need to own homes.
Amen.
Corporations are buying up homes very, very quick. We're seeing cash deals, even in Arizona, very, very quick when no one else can buy because the corporations want to buy up all the homes. If you want to get into conspiracies, they want to control what the average person pays for rent. So rent control, they'll just decide it's $2,500, $3,000. And if you can't buy a home, you can't compete.
And it's not a conspiracy that these companies are doing it. It's happening in
massively.
Most of the houses being bought are being bought by a few different companies.
Well, many of them are foreign investors owning American real estate, which is a whole nother issue.
Yeah, terrible. All right.
You talk about a stronghold. That's very much a stronghold of other countries coming in and buying our homes up. I think inflation is awesome in real estate. It's going to happen. The government's going to keep printing money. I'm not thrilled at that, but it's reality. We saw in COVID, all of a sudden they added 25% supply of money into the system, and no one thought inflation was about to happen. And then it went off the charts. As a new home buyer, we had bought a very average home price at like $350. We bought our first house, $350. COVID happens. Within a year, that house went up by 40 or 50% in value.
Wow.
Not because I was so smart and a great investor, because inflation just shot into the economy. Everyone moved to Arizona during COVID, lots of things. But home prices across the country did that during 20, 21, 22. So your house will grow with inflation. Your mortgage won't. Your mortgage is you're going to owe the same amount of money, and the money just got a lot cheaper. So a lot of people don't realize that inflation actually helps your debt quite a bit. It cheapens it.
So for first-time homebuyers, there's a lot of young adults that don't understand this. They're looking at the market and the terms, but they don't understand that first-time homebuyers, completely different set of terms. Maybe explain the benefits for a first-time homebuyer.
Totally. You can get a low interest rate. Your parents might tell you need 20% down. Sure, that's awesome, but you don't need that. The market, especially in America, is going to keep going up because of inflation. If there's a 50-year mortgage, the market's going to jump. We're going to see an aggressive climb here because it means more people can buy homes. But there's tons of government programs, and I mean, they're going to give it out to a lot of people. So why not let you be one of those people? They will pay a lot of your down payment. I had a young couple the other day. The government gave them $30,000 that's forgivable in 3 years if they hold that home. Well, the government's just going to give them free money. And you might have my wife being one of these, might be like, we're not taking money from the government out of principle. They're going to give it to someone. Just apply for the grant, take the grant, get the forgivable loan, and start building a legacy. But you can buy a home, a first-time home buyer, and especially in Arizona, it's expensive. So a lot of other states, it's going to be lower. But you could spend $8,000 to $15,000, and you could be in a first-time house, and the government will fill the rest of that down payment. And
you get a lower interest rate, perhaps as a first-time home buyer.
Yep, lower interest rate. So a lot of great benefits. It's not that hard to buy a house. I always thought it was. I think it's one of the easiest wealth building tools for a young person, because you're gonna pay rent, you're gonna do something. It forces you as a young man or a young couple to go start investing, and over the long term, that home is gonna go up. What disagreements do you have with a 50-year mortgage, or what do you wrestle with a 50-year mortgage?
So if we were having this exact same conversation 10 years ago, 50 years ago, 100 years ago, and now all of a sudden we're like, hey, what do you think about a 50-year mortgage? I'm like, I think it's a terrible idea. I think it's awful. And it's because we're such a prosperous country that a 30-year mortgage or a 15-year mortgage, typically the average home buyer could afford it if they just minded their P's and Q's. And the only reason we're having this conversation now is because wild, reckless overspending is impoverishing our nation. So now it becomes a necessary evil to push out a 30-year mortgage to a 50-year mortgage so that we can buy them up before BlackRock does. And so I hate that that's happening, because 10 years ago, 50-year mortgages was a bad idea. And so now it's just a stopgap. But what it's doing, though, it's a realistic, sober approach of where we're at right now, a 50-year mortgage. So I'm on board with you. But here's what I hate. It's admitting that we are certainly impoverished. We're having to compete with these major corporations doing a really shady thing because they're going to jack rents up. And what else are you going to do? So you might as well do it. But I know the American consumer they are going to be a much bigger debtor for their entire lives now. They're never going to pay off their home. Then you could say, well, you could get a 50-year mortgage, but pay it like it's a 30. And people reason that, and if you could actually do it, that'd be great. But almost no one does. I think you guys would. And like 2 of you people out there would do that. Nobody else is going to do that. It's the same reason why Dave Ramsey is so against anyone having credit cards. It's because you'll say, well, the points and I'm doing this and cash back actually come out ahead. And you're right, technically on paper, but consumer habits is you're going to not do it, and you'll be irresponsible. So you're going to get a 50-year mortgage, and you're going to pay it for 50 years. You're not going to pay it off early, so you're going to be a slave to the lender. And if you get a 30, so right here, you had kind of a example chart it out.
Yep.
So a $400,000 home with a 20% down payment and assuming a 6.5 or 6.6% interest rate. And a 30-year term, that's $2,040 a month. If you paid that out over the life of the loan, the cost of money for a $400,000 home will end up being, you'll spend $661,000 on that over the course of 30 years. So $400,000 home, you paid $661,000 over it. And I'm like, that's a 30-year. What happens when you go 50-year? And mind you, you're only jumping in a 50-year mortgage from a $2,040 payment, you're falling down to an $1,822 payment. So really, it's going to save you, it's going to save you $200-ish a month.
Yep.
And what's it cost? I'm like, oh, it saves me $200 a month. Well, what does it cost you? You're going to pay an extra 20 years. And at the end of it, you would have paid almost $1 million for a $400,000 home. That's wild. That's really expensive.
But it's better than renting.
Yeah, I agree. It's better than whatever. But if we could just not spend so wildly, because all the dramatic government spending is causing this. We're in this problem because of a $39 trillion debt in runaway inflation. And so now we're talking about 50-year more. I'm like, hey, come on. How about get in perpetual debt for multiple generations because your government can't curtail spending? Yep. We're talking about a 50-year mortgage because government spending. So if we do a 50-year mortgage, okay, I get it, necessary evil, but let's cut the head off the beast of government spending, or before you know it, we'll be talking about a 70-year mortgage. And it's because of the government's fault. And I don't like it.
Okay, John, but here's my pushback. What is that house worth in 50 years?
I get it, that it's still worth it.
It's a $4 million house, and that's average home price in 50 years. So
maybe so. We'll see.
I know.
Of like,
they're not making any more land.
What fun depressions await us?
I know.
What fun government speeches await
us? Every 100 years, and the last one was in the 1920s. So giddy up.
Because the trend of all this government spending is ultimately a complete evisceration of our economy, where the Marxists own anything, and that house you worked on for 40 years is seized by the state anyway. That's where all of this eventually lands. So
the wildness of the debt. There is a debt of $330,000, if memory serves me correct, for every American taxpayer.
Correct, yeah.
Which means whether or not you have a mortgage, the government took one out for you.
That's right.
You owe $330,000 in just debt.
Yeah.
So, Landon, to wrap up this one, so 50-year, did they have to, because a lot of young people are, so it's like 50 years, do they have to pay it for 50 years, or can they pay it off quicker? Can they refinance it down the road?
You can pay it off very quickly. You can refinance it down the road. I think when interest rates are high, something like this makes a lot of sense to me because interest rates will be low again at some point. It was wild to me. Our first house, I'm making this big payment. To me, it's $2,200 a month. That felt like everything for Ashley and I as a newly married couple. And then we sold it 2 years later and we made $10,000 a month living there. And I was like, how does this math make any sense?
That's great.
No. It was wild to see the appreciation when you've put this much money into the house and the equity jumps by this much. That's a great return on investment. And to the point earlier, okay, you're saving a couple $100 a month. Not a big deal for you guys. For somebody that's making $20 an hour, $18 an hour, trying to save up. If somebody's investing $200 a month and actually being a good steward, so you do have to be wise, but if somebody takes that, invests that at an average rate of return at that 50-year mark, it's almost $4 million as well. So if you're a smart steward and you're a godly man and you do something like a 50-year mortgage and you take the extra money and you invest it or pay down your house faster, you're going to be in a great position in 10, 15, 20 years. If you're just trying to use the government and push out your debt and things like that, that's not helpful. But you can redeem a lot of the government programs. And as young Christian men and women, we need to be good stewards and smart in these decisions we're making. And you need to actually chart it out, look at investment charts and look at your next 50 years and decide where you want to be. It was something me and Ashley did very early in our marriage. where do we want to be at 75? And what do we want to leave to our grandkids?
Yeah.
And you just reverse engineer it. And I just see things like this as tools to do that. And Trump is much wiser than anyone gives him credit for as far as the economy. He knows how to combat these things. He knows what tariffs will do. He's not like throwing hand grenades and like, hopefully this stuff works. He's a very good businessman. If there's something that you should trust him on.
Who would have thought a billionaire would have been good with money, though? I didn't see that coming. Did you see that coming?
Yeah, and a socialist who's never held a job can run New York. So
that's a great pivot.
Yeah, well, let me give one hack, and then we'll move on. This is a dad hack for the older people that are watching this. Number one, you want to get your credit score and keep your credit score high, and then two, a lot of the myth when it comes to home buying for young families and young couples is we've got to get a credit card. We need to get our credit scored. No, you don't. Here's a dad hack. If you have a good credit score, you can put your kids, you can put other people on as an authorized user.
Mm-hmm.
So like when our kids got married, like I was talking to one of my daughter-in-laws and she's like, I got to get a credit card because, I need to get a credit score so that when we go to buy a house, we'll have a good credit score. I said, no, sweetheart, I love you. Don't do any of that. I will make you an authorized user on my account, which means then when they pull your credit score, you get my credit score.
Well, that's great. Yeah, that's all.
So you don't need a credit card and you don't need to play the credit card game and you don't need to take any risk. You don't need to go out and get a car loan and start doing these really foolish things. Older generations can really help if they can borrow your credit score and get a first-time home buyer opportunity. Now you're unlocking generational wealth for your kids.
Yep. And the one other thing you did that was awesome, and hopefully I'm not oversharing here, but you were willing to match a down payment for us up to a certain number. And you always talk about give your inheritance to your kids early, because 10 grand for me right now is much better than 100 grand in 30 years.
Well, in 30 years, let's say I live 30 years. In 30 years, if you really need the inheritance,
I failed.
You didn't do a good job. When a couple really needs their inheritance is at the starting line. Like we want to buy a house, we want to have kids. So my goal is always like, if you can and you're older, get as much of the inheritance to the kids as early as possible if they're wise and good stewards, and then they're going to multiply that. But in 30 years, you don't need help with your first home.
No.
Can I ask a question on that? So some folks will have the attitude, older generation, of if you just give them money or inheritance, you'll spoil them. And there's some out there like, hey, I got them to 18, let my last check bounce, I'm cashing out, no inheritance.
Yeah, a wise man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. That's Proverbs. And so the goal is to pass on to your children and grandchildren as much money, as much blessing, as much wisdom, as much support as you possibly can. And there are two kinds of children. There are those who are bad stewards and those who are good stewards. And so give everything you can after you've trained your child to be a good steward. And so like my thing with all of our kids was like, get married, buy a house, have kids. If you can do it in that order, statistically, you're going to win.
Yeah.
Correct.
Like you're going to play the long game and win. And so I have no problem being generous toward children that are good stewards. So if they're not a good steward, then teach them stewardship, right? And incentivize them to be good stewards. Don't control them, but like, hey, if you will raise money for a house, I will match you dollar for dollar, as one potential example. Then the kid is like, and here's what it costs, and here's first-time home buyer, and I'll let you borrow my credit score. Any smart kid is going to be like, well, I'm going to do that because I didn't understand that, but my dad just set me up for the win.
You're a good dad, Mark Driscoll. Good job.
We'll leave it right there, and we will head to some not so great politics. So 2 cities, one story about the changing face of America. Minneapolis and New York just elected Muslim candidates who ran on cultural and religious identity. Some call it representation, while others call it replacement. Ron DeSantis says Republican idea of endless legal immigration is brain dead, and we want to unpack that. So you guys have a lot of experience, a lot of years on the clock seeing this happen, seeing America good immigration happen, bad immigration happen, no borders. What are your thoughts? We want to hear theologically, but also just, are we going to be in a good spot in 15, 20 years? Are your kids going to be in a great America if what's happening continues?
I don't know if it is still America if it continues.
Yeah, that's right.
And so those who are naive theologically, they'll be like, we need to welcome the stranger. Well, like the book of Judges, we talked about this offline. Israel has a boundary and it keeps getting invaded by enemies who don't love the people and don't share the values. So the whole book of Judges is Deborah and Barak and Gideon and Jephthah and Samson. It's just war after war after war to secure the border. And so, if you're going to think biblically, you need to think entirely within the confines of Scripture. And so, historically, we are a nation of immigrants, people who came here legally, but then were educated on the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution. They were given American values. Here's who we are. Here's how we operate. Here's our language. Please speak our language. And that is assimilation. And so what happens currently, we had an open border. Everybody's welcome in. We're not asking, are you going to add any value? Like in Europe, they've got a merit system. Like, do you have a career? Are you going to add value to our culture? If so, we're going to run you to the front of the line. Do you share our values? Here, we open it up. We say diversity is our strength. No, it's not. I mean, cartel leaders are not our strength. Drug traffickers are not our strength. Child predators bringing kids over the border. That's not our strength.
No.
Our strength is in integrity, and it's in our founding principles. And so now you've got people coming into the country that aren't vetted and they aren't coming to contribute anything. And then if they go to a government school, the government school tells them that America is institutionally inherently racist, sexist, homophobic, and evil. And it's patriarchal and colonial, which means any values that have any rooting in Christian convictions are inherently oppressive and unjust. They get an entire Marxist paradigm. And at that point, those people don't even understand America. And the modicum that they do understand, they think is inherently evil. Therefore, social justice is to deconstruct it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, then what you end up with is the nation that they left because it was horrible now becomes this nation. And I don't know why you would go from one country that sucked to another country that doesn't suck with the agenda of making it suck. If you want to live in a country that sucks, just stay in your country.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. That's
You
good.
spent time defending this nation, and now you're seeing the nation change over the last 5-10 years. What are your thoughts on where we're headed?
Well, we had one aspect to it right here. Another aspect that you need is to understand what Islam is. You need to understand what the Muslim world is. And there is variation, so I want to be sensitive to that. There's some sweetie pie Muslims that just, want to kumbaya and, hey, jihad, it doesn't really mean what you think it means. And we're all just, we're all fine. It's all just a metaphor. And then there's, most of Muslim history isn't that way. Whereas we've seen the Crusades as points where the Christian world was pushing back on Muslim conquest. Islam has seen one giant crusade that's been spanning over 14 centuries. It's just one. And it's the sixth pillar of Islam, the unofficial. It's jihad. It's a war. It's you want to go to heaven immediately. It's kill the infidel. They're at war with Western values. Theologically, fundamentally, you crack open the hood of Islam, they're at war with Western values and specifically Christianity. And so you can't assimilate with that because Islam is utterly incompatible with Western values because it is at war with Western values. And so if you look at all the countries where Muslims have majority and where they're ruling, wherever Islam is, someone was there before them, and typically they were all Christian lands. And they didn't convert by the beauty of the Quran.
Yep.
They were overthrown by the scimitar, or they were outbred until the population was majorly Muslim. And then they established Sharia law, kicked everyone else out, and now it's Islamic. That's how every Christian nation in the Middle East, in Asia, in North Africa, all of it was Christian lands. They didn't convert to Islam. They were murdered over the course of centuries, and that's how Islam took over. They either kill you and drive you out, or they outbreed you and then establish political control. Drop all democratic Republican pretense. Once they establish majority, establish Sharia law, and now it just becomes another Muslim state, part of the future caliphate.
Wow.
There's no bargaining with them. In that it's incompatible with our founding documents. We have a national identity. What is that? Well, it's Christian values, and it's also built around our founding documents, our Declaration of Independence, in our Constitution. That's who we are. We're people that rally around a document, a belief system. It's an idea that is America, and it is incompatible with antithetical ideas. And it's not just open for interpretation.
Yeah.
It's not just a melting pot of diverse beliefs. No, it's fixed. And if you destroy the foundation, the entire edifice that is the United States of America falls.
Yep.
And what this is the signal that not only do we not understand that we rally around a constitution, and that's what makes us Americans, but we are also inviting the complete antithetical ideology to come and rule over us. I can't imagine something more disastrous than this unless they ask Christianity Today to help rule with them. I just can't do it. I can't do it. That's called a callback, gentlemen.
Thank you.
It's a callback.
That's good.
Well, and so, if we are one nation under God, who that God is determines what kind of nation we are.
Good word.
And so this is ultimately a theological issue. It's a spiritual warfare issue. And biblically, when an enemy gets a camp within territory that they don't have dominion over, it's called a stronghold. Right now, Dearborn, Michigan, theologically, spiritually, it is a stronghold. When you hear the Muslim call to prayer going out over the loudspeakers, which is against law, in Dearborn, Michigan, that is a spiritual declaration of territorial dominion.
Yeah.
And we just saw now another stronghold is being established in New York City.
Right. Heart of the nation.
And financial capital.
Yeah.
And so, from a spiritual standpoint, like, these are strongholds. They're not yet ruling the nation, but before you topple any people, you got to set up a fortified compound. You've got to set up a stronghold. And from there, you expand your influence. You go out and declare your war. And so jihad begins with strongholds.
Yep.
Right.
If Satan was going to take this nation, it's not going to happen from a ground war. It's going to happen from this.
Yeah.
It'll be a slow heating up. And
he's a good enough general to recognize he should fight a war on multiple fronts simultaneously. And this is a devastating one. And it signals something real bad to me. I'm like, oh, we're further gone than I thought. This is really bad. This is really bad.
What should be the pastor's response to this? How do you lead a congregation? How do you lead men?
Of like, you're in New York City? Oh, man. Like, hey, we're moving, guys. We're going to the great state of Georgia. It's still free.
Rome's got a lot of...
Well, what we're looking at now, you're really looking at two Americas. You're looking at those who are voting with their feet, where they want to live, what kind of governor they want to have, what kind of citizen they want to be. And to me, it seems like the rate we're going, you have two options. You have two Americas, and it really becomes people determine their state by their belief system. And if we try to all work together, I don't see anything other than civil war, because these are irreconcilable ideologies. Like, and as a Christian, you feel like on the left, I'm getting attacked over all the trans weirdness, and on the and social Marxism, and on the right, I'm getting attacked with Islam. And so it's a weird day. There's a war on both fronts. For those who just want to be left alone, both of these ideologies do not permit sort of independence.
No.
They're totalitarian regimes, both on the hard left and on the Islamic right. They want to oversee your schools. They want to tax you. They want to oversee your laws. They want to control your family and future. And they want to take away your firearms so that you're indefensible. I mean, and so I don't know, John, do you think we just vote by, like, you go to Georgia or you go to California, or is it we end up in just full-blown civil war?
So
John wants to move to California.
I do not want to move
Really?
to California. I don't want to look at a picture of California lately. I'm very upset by the politics there. There's so many good, conservative, God-loving people that live in California. California is a red state, and it's just ruled by blue dots. That's every single state. It seems like. Maybe not Massachusetts. I don't know. Anyway, the whole country
is big enough just to be a dot.
It's just a big blue dot, isn't it? I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, I think Satan is launching both air and ground war simultaneously, hitting us on multiple fronts. And our response must also be in many fronts.
Yeah.
We need churches to stand up straight and declare bold truth. Yeah. And if you're just going to let all this stuff play out in the news, and our culture's being overrun, and you're just going to little anecdotes and pithy jokes, and here's a little story and a verse, see you next Sunday. If you're just going to cede the culture war to the dominions of Satan, well, you're no help. This is a theological battle, and we need theological generals at the helm, at the front, leading this fight spiritually. So as a church, I refuse to live in a world of lies. I will not be censors. I will not be silenced. I'm going to speak out against this, and that's effectively, we're 3 pastors doing that right now, and I encourage any pastors following on, don't be a coward, do it as well. We need everyone on board. Everyone on board. We can't bear the weight of all the attacks simultaneously. And so pastors need to speak the truth. Now is a wonderful time for courage and for very clear voices. We also need to vote with our feet. We need to be politically involved. We need all kinds of folks in every area of life, in all vocations, in all neighborhoods. We need to get our schools back. We need to get our country back. We need to be voting. We need to be educating, all of the stuff simultaneously. Wherever there is a fight being levied against us, there's where brave defenders need to be able to stand up for truth and contend.
Well, and it's biblical worldview.
Yeah.
And it can't just be self-help, psychology instruction. It needs to be, hey, there is a difference between Islam and Christianity. And it's not a minor difference. There is a big difference between biblical justice and Marxist social justice. There's a big difference.
Yeah.
And the problem is that the pulpits are not providing biblical worldview. So the average Christian is either misinformed or altogether uninformed. And in the absence of a biblical worldview, everyone's just going to have an unbiblical world.
Yeah.
And so to think that the responsibility of the pastor doesn't include worldview shaping, it's reprehensible. So those who would say, don't get involved in politics, don't get involved in culture, teach biblical worldview, and you will realize you have to.
Yeah.
You can't be faithful to God without opening the Word of God and helping God's people interpret what's going on in the world through the Word.
Even the politicians that established our nation had the foresight to recognize that we were one nation under God. And if it's one nation under God, then God's ambassadors get to exercise dominion and have a say over all of government, over the totality of life. If we're one nation under God and the preacher is God's ambassador, the preacher has complete carte blanche to be able to speak to any and every issue because we're one nation under God. So who speaks for God? The pastors reading out of the Bible, contending with the culture. You're able to speak in that, and it's an absolute, utter lie of Satan. He is laughing at you like you're a joke. If he has silenced you with this lie that you just talk Bible and let everything else play out. You just got your main generals and war captains to go get a smoothie in the heat of battle. I'm like, that Satan thinks it's hilarious, I think, that pastors are sitting here watching all of the dominions of Satan pour in while they're just eating an apple doing nothing.
Yep. Hey guys, before we go to the next segment, Pastor Mark wanted to tell you about something really exciting. We had a company really want to jump in and partner with Real Faith to help support the new show, The Mark Driscoll Show. And Pastor Mark will tell you more about it now.
Look, God wants us to be good stewards. And if you want to learn about silver and gold, just go to the Bible. You're going to find it there. You'll also find it at Goldco, one of our sponsors. And so God wants us to be good stewards and take good care of his money. And we want to help you protect what you've worked so hard to earn. This is why many Christians and patriots like myself are turning to precious metals like gold and silver. They've been a store of value for centuries. They're mentioned, as I said, throughout the scriptures, and they're a sign of value and purity. They've also proven to be a safe haven for assets in a chaotic world. So I want you to get a free gold and silver kit from our new partners at Goldco. You're going to learn about the challenges we currently face in our economy and how you can use gold and silver to help protect you and your family. Right now, Goldco is also offering our audience a 10% instant match in bonus silver or gold. Do it again. Right now, Goldco is also offering our audience a 10% instant match in bonus silver or gold for qualified orders just for getting started. It's the best deal in town, so go to goldco.com/realfaith. That's goldco.com/realfaith.
Yep. Pastor John, thank you. We have a couple questions we're going to finish with, but I want to honor you for being on the show. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
You've got a great ministry and business helping equip men in a lot of ways. Where can people go join your brotherhood? And what services, what things do you have to offer that you'd love to tell them about? Because you're very strong. So these people either love you or hate you at this point.
Sometimes I hate me as well, so I get it. I'm a work in progress. I'm trying to repent, love Jesus more, but anyway, still dealing with some of that. So I understand that. Folks can find me at Pastor John Lovell. That's my handle. I have a church called Grace City. It's in Rome, Georgia. So Pastor John Lovell, I'm preaching every single week in the pulpit, and so Pastor John Lovell, check me out there on YouTube and stuff like
And
that.
you're into
So
guns, right?
I'm into guns. I have a movement called Warrior Poet Society, and so we teach all kinds of security-related stuff, training. We teach gun fighting classes all around the country as well. That was an old special operations guy, and so I leaned into that world and really ascended the ranks for training in the country. And so we do a lot there and all kinds of everyday carry and all the cool gizmos on our Warrior Poet website. And we have a streaming service, Watch WPSN. That's where somebody can really join as a member. You're like, Warrior Poet, I like that. I want to join. You go to watchwpsn.com and you join. And that makes you kind of one of us as a main supporter.
Awesome. And in the world we're heading in, it seems like it's getting darker, and men need to be equipped both theologically and protection, security. Like actually they should be carrying a gun and ready for battle because it could come.
We are loving protectors of other people. And if evil has a gun, I want one too. I want to protect the innocent. And that's why I carry a gun. It's not for me. It's for everyone else. Somebody wants to shoot up a school and I'm on that. I'm on the X, not on my watch, man. You're going to have to go through me if you want to hurt people around me. And so it is the duty of a loving shepherd protector to carry a gun.
Love it. I love it. So first mailbag question to close us out, Pastor Mark. If your in-laws can't stand each other, how do you decide who to spend the holidays with without starting a war? I have an answer, but
Yeah. Number one, you could rotate years. You could say, we'll do Thanksgiving with you guys one year, do Thanksgiving with you the other. We could do that, Christmas, whatever it may be. You could say, we're going to host it at our house. We'll be the demilitarized zone between North and South Korea. And so when you enter into our home as head of household, here are the ground rules. You're welcome to play by the ground rules if you behave. Otherwise, you are not welcome. Or you could decide, if you find that both families are just toxic and unenjoyable, you know what? We love you both. And there's only three kinds of relationships. There's healthy, unhealthy, and no relationship. And if they're saying, well, we're only going to give you one option, unhealthy relationship, well, then you got to decide, are you going to go for unhealthy relationship or no relationship? And you may even want to do, rather than a forever cutoff and say, we're never going to do the holidays with you again. If it's really dangerous and evil, like let's say you're in a family that abuses kids and you got kids, you're like, we're not doing that. But if it's just a situation that's unhealthy and toxic, I like something called a temporary timeout, which is, hey, we're going to have a clarifying conversation. We love you. This year, we're taking a break from the holidays. We're not going to see you. And we'll pick it up next year and have a discussion. We're not going to keep doing what we've been doing. For good to start, bad must end. So we're going to reset how we do holidays, especially maybe now that we got kids. And after the holidays, we're going to see how it goes without you. And if in the future we'd like to re-engage, we'd like to reconsider the terms of agreement. Because usually what happens is, say you got a toxic family. You grow up in that family, you don't know it's toxic, you know?
Sure.
And then you get married and then you realize, okay, my family is a little unhealthy or toxic. But then you and your spouse, you just sort of endure that. It's like, well, it's family. We've always done Christmas with our family. And then it reaches a point where it starts to create tension and anxiety between you and your wife. And you're like, now we're creating a negative anniversary on the holidays. And then you add kids, and that's when it breaks. And you're like, I would never allow my kids to be in this environment for the holidays. Why would I allow that if it's with relatives? And so you don't allow access to your family based upon blood, but based upon character.
Yeah.
And if somebody is unsafe or unwell, it doesn't matter what their last name is. They get treated as someone who is unsafe or unwell, and they're welcome to repent and or get help. And as a result, re-enter in a healthy way.
Yep. It's very good. Very good. One thing Ashley and I did just early in our marriage, and it wasn't out of spite towards anyone. We just went and made some memories, like on Thanksgiving by ourselves. We went to South Carolina, picked a town we'd never been to, stayed on a lake on a crisp Thanksgiving week, and we just made memories on our own, and we did a vision retreat. We set the vision for our marriage the next year, and sometimes it's just good to make, especially early in your marriage, to make some memories that are together. And then as kids are invited in, I think it's great to do Thanksgiving as big families, and they're very fun, and we love doing holidays at your guys' house, and but it's very fun early on in your marriage to really get close with each other and have some memories to draw from in the future.
Well, and in closing, so from the older generation standpoint, there's a bit of grief in that. Like,
Yes.
I mean, now Ashley was my daughter. Now she's your wife. She's still my daughter, but my job is to go down the totem pole. I was the first man, and then you're here. Now I'm the second man. Now Indy's born. I'm in third position. Like, my job is to keep working my way down the totem pole. And I'm glad that she's loved and married. But for older generations, you've got to emotionally process that. Like, because most parents have a dream of what life and relationships and holidays will look like. But once your kids get married, you can't give them your dream. You need them to pray, and you need to ask them what their dream is.
Yeah.
And so, like, with that first Thanksgiving, I was like, okay, Ashley's not going to be here. Like, she's happily married. She's differentiated. She's left her father and mother, but she's gone, And so enjoy your kids as long as you have them. Hold the relationship in an open hand. Come with a posture of service. But even like this year, for the older generations, we met with, we talked to you and Zach and Calvin, the three heads of household, because you guys have all got your own families. Like, what do you guys want to do for Thanksgiving? And you're all pretty much like, we've got the week off of work. We want to go do stuff with our wives, with our kids. We want to do our family things. Like, well, what would work? They're like, well, let's not do Thanksgiving on Thursday. Let's do it on Monday. Because we all work, Saturday, Sunday with church. But then Monday, let's do Thanksgiving. And then you guys can have the whole week with your family, travel, go do what you want, make your own memories. Even if you want to do your own Thanksgiving and have friends or whatever over, you can do whatever you want. And so it's as an older generation coming along and just realizing all the wonderful things that the Bible says about serving and trying to take that position of how do we serve your family? And if that's the position, usually you can work out the details.
Yeah, you guys do a great job of honoring each relationship and making it easy and making it very life-giving. You're considerate of the
Try to be.
generation. Yeah, so we appreciate it. It's very helpful. Did you have something to add?
No, that was great.
Okay. The next question for John, I love that they believe that this is a good question for you. What can women do to raise strong young men who love the Lord?
Oh, there was a book recently written that I believe
That's great. Is that what you were tilting your hand towards?
Yes.
My wife wrote a book called Boyhood Resurrected. So whoever's leading us down that, you guys are aces. I see you're supporting. You love us. I see you. I thank you for that. My wife wrote a very, very good book. I am very proud. It's not just because I think she's a hottie and I'm sweet on her. It's legitimately a good book. It's called Boyhood Resurrected. And what we found is we're raising two boys, wild and free boys that also have
The most respectful,
they're wonderful. The boys are right here.
kind boys I've ever met.
Shout out to the Lovell boys. Yes.
Well done, kids. Well done. What we found early in our marriage was that we need to be on the same page. When kids were little, it was really the mommy show. Her job is to kind of keep them alive, and my job is to make them strong. There's a bit of a handoff as kids get older and older, especially boys. They start gravitating more toward dads, and then moms feel threatened by that. I'm like, I'm losing my hold, and accidentally they'll end up infantilizing them and keeping them young when they should be allowing them to take risks. Boys that are not allowed to take risks fail, get hurt, skin knees, climb trees higher than you think they should. You're laughing because they lost an airplane. My 11-year-old lost an airplane in a tree. 50 feet, not exact, 50 feet up. He Mowgli'd up there, got the plane down. It was a 50 feet.
Your wife left with my wife. I'm standing there with two boys in a public park. A lady's calling the cops on me.
Real?
Yes, I didn't know you. She's calling the cops because I'm being so unsafe. And I'm like, great, they're not my kids.
Yeah.
That wasn't helpful to say.
But and to my wife's credit, of like, we want to eliminate the death stuff of like, we can handle a broken arm, we can't handle a broken neck. And so we're going to figure out how
Yeah, I FaceTimed you guys immediately, and Becca's like, Send it.
Send it.
Good. I don't want to watch, but
We've been watching them climb trees for a long time.
and then your boys get down there like, we've never climbed anything that big.
No, but they've done 40. They've done 30. And before that, they did 20 and they did 10. There's something very, very terrible and very risky about not letting a boy experience risk. If you don't let him experience risk, he doesn't grow to be a man. He needs to become strong. And the only way he can get strong is through suffering and through failing forward and through those skin knees. And so the idea is mom keeps them alive and dad pushes the envelope and makes them strong. And through the tension of mom and dad working, you're able to grow a boy into a man. Now, if mom is always getting her way, he's going to be a weak, a feat. He's going to live in the basement on the couch playing video games. He'll be a failure to launch. He will never stand on his own 2 feet and be a strong man. That's how it's going to be. He's going to be an entitled brat. If dad always gets his way, he is, maybe he gets good job and captain of industry and he takes off and he wins trophies, but he'll never keep a family together. He won't have that emotional sensitivity and ability to steward relationships. And so he can win stuff, but he can't keep anything. And so it is through the tension of a nurturing and loving mom and a strong dad that allows them to learn how to navigate and grow into manhood. And one of the best things mom can do is carve out a place for dad to be a dad. And so he's going to be better at solving certain problems. Some moms are suffering under the difficulty of, I can't get my kid to eat food. All men know how to solve that problem immediately. I can solve it tonight, forever. Hey, kid, you got 30 seconds to eat your dinner here. Nope, you're not doing it. All right, fantastic. Go to bed. It's like, go to bed. It's 7 o'clock. Nope, don't parent my parenting. You tagged out. I'm in. You tagged out. Am I able to parent here? But this is typically where the modern feministically trained woman jumps in and asks dad to parent. And the moment he starts, she jumps in to protect the kids. And what the dad learns after a while is, I'm not falling for that again. I'm not doing that. I'm like, nope, you do it. Whatever. It's just, I'm watching the game or whatever. And it's because she invites dad, but then immediately cuts him off at the pass. And so if you want him to solve a problem, let him solve the problem. Bite your tongue. It's going to be so hard, ladies, but do it, and it'll solve the problem. I remember my oldest, I'm looking at him right now, but he didn't want to eat his food. I just sent him to dinner. I sent him to bed, and it was like the sun was still up. And so my wife is like, you can't do that. I'm like, I can absolutely. It's happening now. Beat it, kid. Go to bed. Go to bed. I will not see you again. And he's crying, and I'm like, cry quiet. You may cry, but you have to cry quietly. You want to cry loud? I will come spank you for it until you learn to cry quietly. And some people are like, you're being harsh. I'm like, no, I'm solving a problem. I'm training my son. I love him enough to do this. This is hard to do. This was hard on me. A few 8 hours later, a meeting was called. My son summoned me and I went, and he was ready to eat. And I took him his cold dinner, and I remember it so vividly. And he was eating spoonful after spoonful, happily, smile on his face, and big tears rolling down his chubby cheeks as he ate that food. And he'd known, if you don't eat it tonight, this will be your breakfast. If you don't eat it for breakfast tomorrow, that's fine as well. You never have to eat again. But when you do, son, it will be this meal. So help me God, you will never eat again, but this will be, and we never had a problem again. It was done. She'd begged him to eat for 2 years. I can solve this problem in one night. And that was the loving right thing to do. So respect your husbands, ladies. Allow him to parent. Allow him to get in there and show him the role of a mom, the role of a dad, and how that works together. But if you model a good marriage, they'll grow up to be strong men and be able to be capable of a good marriage.
Love it. Love it, Pastor John. Thank you so much for joining us on today's show. Thank you all for tuning in to this Mark Driscoll Show with our first ever guest, Pastor John Lovell. We will drop in the comments where you can find Pastor John's socials and website. And we're just very grateful for him. You can text app to 99383. We will send you all kinds of great content on our new Real Faith app. And shockingly, we only have 5-star reviews. One guy got mad. We have one 1-star review, which is great. And he was mad it wasn't a Catholic app.
He worked for Christianity Today, though.
Yes. He had his big AI goggles.
It
just wasn't what he was
I'm still grossed out by it.
It just wasn't what he was hoping for.
I don't see that. I don't need hand sanitizer for your eyes. It's filthy.
I love that. We'll see you guys next week.